Good afternoon or good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting show of the Modern Conservative Podcast. And it's Friday. The weekend is here. I usually would say Bill 30, but I don't drink. So I just thank God for another fantastic weekend about to set forth. Tonight, I have a couple friends of mine. I have Reese Snow here on my left, and I have Darrell Williams on my right. They are straight conservatives. They're both friends of mine, really good friends of mine. I decided to have a conversation. I just want to have a conversation with some brothers that are conservatives, and they're men, and why men are important in the fight that we believe in and what we're doing in this country today. Darrell, good to have you.
Thank you.
Reese, good to have you.
Thank you.
Reese is a little shy right now, though he's big as hell, as a big dude, and I'm not going to piss him off, so I'm glad he's a conservative because of the Republican. And the Democrat, I might be in trouble. But so, Darrell, tell us about yourself.
As Jonathan mentioned, I'm Darrell Williams. I'm originally from Arkansas, eastern Arkansas. Grew up along the banks of the mighty Muddy, the Mississippi, that is what we call it, or Old Man River, as some people really call it. I've been out here in Utah for over 30 years now. And I've really grown to love the area. Go back to visit my home state of Arkansas occasionally, visit other family members that are scattered all over the eastern part of the country. And, I absolutely love it here. And I'm grateful for this opportunity to be able to talk about things that really matter. Because I love this country. I come from a family of long line of military servicemen and women. And the oath that I took at the age of 18 still means as much to me as it did then as it does now. And so I see things that are transpiring in the country that I can no longer remain silent about. I have to have my voice. I have to add my voice to the conversation so that I'm doing my part of honoring my oath.
Reese, and you?
Native born Utah, grew up in West Jordan. Let's see, where to begin. Just my dad's side of the family, both my mom growing up, she kind of, I think, was more that instilled into me to be more active because growing up, I can't tell you how many times she took me to the Capitol when their, Senate thing was going on. And she was always involved. She'd always call her senators. She'd always call her congressmen. And then, like with my dad, there's some military men there. My grandfather was in the military, but he never made it to war, in like World War II, and his brothers and stuff. So there's a lot, and I love this country. I think my late 20s, early 30s, I started realizing that I just needed to be more involved and do some stuff, and I didn't know how, and I'm learning with this man here. And
that's your brother, right? You guys go by brothers. Yeah. And that's the way it's supposed to be, people.
Well, we used to tell people we're twin brothers, They kind of look all confused.
I can almost catch the resemblance. The beard kind of screws up everything.
And the glasses. I'm not wearing my glasses.
That kind of screws up everything.
We'd always confuse them.
We're wearing similar colors tonight, though,
I'm glad to have you here, Reese. And the reason why we're here tonight, because we are men, we're conservatives, and we want to have a conversation, especially those two of us. In case you did not know this, two of us just might be black conservatives or conservatives who happens to be black.
Yes.
Just in case you didn't notice this, because the conversation may throw you off a little bit, as conservative. So, this is what I want to talk about. This is what I love doing. Talking about why I love being a conservative. So let me back up for a second. I'm not really a Republican.
Right.
But I affiliate with Republicans because that's the closest thing to what I believe. So, and in Utah, you have to be a conservative to vote. So you vote for, you have to be a Republican to vote in the primary, so in the general. So here I am, and that's what I believe in. So, because I have a problem with the Republican Party, just as many, as much, well, not as much as the Democrat Party, but the Republican Party has its issues.
I agree.
So let me ask you, first question, speaking of the Republican Party. I oftentimes have heard people ask me or say to me, well, we need to just get rid of the parties or create a third party. What's your thoughts on that, Daryl?
My thoughts on that are, I think we got to go back to the history of the Republican Party, right? Its origin. It was originally founded as the counter to the Democrat Party, and it was the anti-slavery party. I think a lot of the principles are solid, right? But I think a lot of, I think we've strayed away. The Republicans, as a general, have strayed away from the founding principles of the party, and have become more or less like. Honestly, in my opinion, there's only one party. To me, I mean,
right.
It's the unit party,
right?
I mean, to me, I called Republicans Republicrats, and I've called Democrats Democans, Democraticans, and so it's like, to me, there's very little difference in many instances between the two parties, other than there's an R and a D associated with their name. Policies speak volumes to me. So to answer your question more specifically, I don't know if we need a third party. I think we need to have the Republican Party return to the roots of its founding, and that it is the private individual has rights, and it should be able to determine to what extent they prosper or not prosper,
right,
in society. And I really do believe, that it to me, that what I find most alarming is that there seems to be that, and recently I've had this conversation multiple times over the years. There seems to be a very thin line separating the parties. And so to me, I don't think there's a need to have a third party. I think there's a need to define what it means to be a conservative Republican, right?
I agree. Reese, what's your thoughts?
Third party, man. Gotta ask yourself, what's that third party gonna be? I think for me, it's just getting back to like learning the Constitution, our whole government system, and why it was, founded, and learning about the founding fathers. And because I get a little frustrated with the Republican Party because I feel like they don't do much sometimes, And for me, it's just I feel like we have to like kind of go back to the grassroots. Find out what made this country great and why we, what made it great, I have like an app on my phone where I go through and I've read the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and I love the one part in the Declaration of Independence that says it's our right and our duty to overthrow tyranny. So for me, it's just more learning about my government, my system, and just trying to educate people, about it. And I don't know. Third party, I don't know what that third party would be, because I agree more with the conservatives and sometimes libertarians,
Right.
But it seems like over the years, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party have just gone so far apart, in what they do.
And, there was a time when the Democrats and Republicans could actually work together. I mean, the Democrat Party had always, for me at least, as I've gotten older, it still had been the party of evil, but at times they could work together and get crap done.
Right.
But that's not even the case any longer.
Now it's just
it's I love what you both have said, because I think the focus is too much on parties, the party, right? The Democrat Party, the Republican Party. There's very little focus on the United States Constitution. Very little focus on the Declaration of Independence. There's very little focus on those documents that were integral to our becoming this great nation that we became. And I think, just my personal opinion, looking from the outside, I see that I believe there's intent to pull us farther away from the Constitution and have us rely more on just the parties, the politicians, whatever this politician says that today is a flavor of the week or whatever, and not really look at what does this person stand for, and how does that relate to the powers delegated them vis-a-vis the United States Constitution, because the majority of the powers remain with we the people and our state. And so, it's not with the federal government, according to the founding fathers, was supposed to be a very small and not very intrusive entity, but it is a creature beyond imagination right now. It is what was that book? I'm trying to think of I was referred to, the creature from Jekyll Island or something like that. But it to me is so troubling because in the long run, mom and pop, everyday Americans are the ones who are under the boot of this oppressive, heavy-handed, uncaring, unyielding entity we call the federal government of the United States.
For me, ever since 1865, or actually 1854, when the Republican Party was founded, the Republican Party was founded back in those days to represent the Constitution, not the Constitution represent any party.
Yeah.
See, this is where they've got it screwed up at.
Yeah.
When you believe in the Constitution, you represent the Constitution as a conservative.
Right.
So there's the things that the Democrats were doing prior to 1865 when they freed the slave, when the Republicans freed the slave, the Democrats they weren't living according to the Constitution. They were not living according to the Constitution, because had they been doing that, we wouldn't have slavery. And a lot of other things that were going on. They didn't give a damn about the Constitution. They stomped on the Constitution. It took the Republican parties in 1865, or actually back up, in 1854 to be founded, and then in 1865 stopped slavery and forced states to join the Union and commerce. So I hear these people always talking about, the Constitution is a living document. No, it's not a living document, because the minute the person starts changing the Constitution, that is the person you should fear the most, because it's kind of like when I do a business deal. When I write a contract, it's in my favor. It's in my favor.
Absolutely.
So when people start changing the Constitution, you best believe it's in their favor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like where they always want to do the constitutional conferences and amend the Constitution, and I always, nope, sorry, because, I don't know what that document's going to look like after that,
Whose image will it be remade in, right?
Exactly.
So,
And people don't seem to follow that, when it comes to the Constitution, because that document has only been amended a few times.
right.
But when it's been amended, there's some things about, even when it was amended as far as gun rights, restricting felons from having, owning guns. That should not have been done. There's other ways that could have been done. It shouldn't have been messed with for as the Second Amendment, because it's an inalienable right. It's a right given to us by God. And the minute a man start changing those rights, he thinks he's God.
Yeah.
He thinks he's God. Now, I talked to a federal prosecutor about this bill, because I'm actually going to put forth the bill this session about felons getting their rights. And now, look, not every felon is going to get their rights back. Let's be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's not going to be every felon. But if you got 3 DUIs, if you got a drug charge when you were a kid and you've been 20 years been doing what you're supposed to do, those people, men, this goes back to what I've been preaching as far as men. Men should have the right to protect their family, their property, and their country. When you take that Second Amendment right away from them, I've got issues with that. And the reason why I have issues with it, because that has neutered men in this country. This is what hurts the fight, because, now you take a guy who hasn't done anything in 20 years, now you made him a criminal because he wanted to protect his family.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You make him a criminal because he wants to legally, what in most people's case is a legal right to protect your family. People, there's a book that says that the average American commits 3 felonies a day.
Wow.
3 felonies a day. And I first learned about this from Glenn Beck. Personally learned it from Glenn Beck. And then I've learned it from other people. And then one day I went online and looked it up. It's literally, the average American, and actually it breaks it down to 2.3 felons. I don't know how the hell you do the 3, but it's 2.3 felonies
Somebody
a day.
out there doing 0.3.
Yeah, but it says 2.3 felonies a day.
Right.
So,
That's interesting.
every time, some states you write a bad check, over $1,000.
Yeah.
That's a felony.
Yeah.
So something as simple as that can get your gun rights taken away from you. And which means, let's look at it in a realistic sense. That means you've taken away the gun rights of a man to protect his family, because of money. What's more important on this planet? It's life.
Yeah.
Money is something that's created. God didn't create money. And we want to take a man right to protect his family because of he owes somebody money. It used to be there's no such thing as debt or prisons.
Right.
That's gone.
Yeah.
That is gone. You don't pay your child support, you can go to prison. That's a felony. See, I mean, we got to bring common sense back to the laws, but there's enough ranting about that. That's what I do here every once in a while.
One little thing about
Go ahead.
You think about the context of the First and Second Amendments, right? Freedom of speech is so important because it's not just the verbalization of what we say, but those who want to curtail speech are also looking at curtailing the way we think. You control the thoughts, you control the dialogue. You control the dialogue, you control the conduct. You control the conduct, you control the will. You control the will, you control the people. And that, as we've been talking about, is about the second, right to bear arms under the Second Amendment, that being an inalienable right. You think about the context of that document when it was penned, that the very men who were in the eyes of the British government, they were felons. They were criminals against
Traitors.
the crown, right? They were traitors, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So the irony of that someone who's classified as a felon now for minor misdemeanor felony, right, can't bear arms. You think about the very Constitution that was written, the men who penned it, they were in the eyes of the ruling authority criminals.
Traitors,
right?
What Reese has stated.
So they shouldn't have a right to bear arms. That was one of the things that they actively pursued taking away from them to make them less liable, as you accurately pointed out, John, being able to protect themselves, their families, and their country, And this just dawned on me as we're having this conversation right now. We need to have more conversations like this. I think real conversations about what matters,
Well,
minus all the political stuff, I mean, just really, because what it comes down to is, are we preserving the Constitution? Do we understand that document? I would say most of us do not in this country, in this day and age.
There's a lot of people that don't understand the conversation, Reese.
Yeah.
I was going to add to the fact that when the founding fathers, signed the Declaration of Independence, and it was kind of like the Dear John letter to, King Henry, saying, we're done with you. We're, and right then and there, they knew what they were doing. They sealed their fate. They were treasonous, and they knew they could die over it. And that's where Glenn Beck read that book, Being George Washington. Love that book because he was trying to show the character of George Washington, who he was, and how we should all more, what's the word, mimic or emulate that his character in that sense. And that's where it always frustrates me listening to stuff nowadays where they're talking about how they're just such bad men. I'm like, well, they weren't perfect men, but at the same point in time, they were better men than we are, in the sense because they, signing their name to that, they knew what they were doing. And
Those 55 signatures.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you just mentioned something that made me have a thought, and that was, they weren't perfect men by no stretch of the imagination.
Right.
But they are the men that paved the road that we are on today.
yeah,
Freedom, liberty.
Yeah.
We don't live under a tyrannical government for the most
Tyrannical.
part.
I love that. Tyrannical.
For the most part.
Or police state.
Exactly. But, they're not perfect. And no matter how imperfect those men are, I appreciate all their efforts that they've done.
Oh, yeah.
Even the gray areas, the areas that are not so cool, even when it comes to slavery. I appreciate their efforts because that's why we're sitting here today.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
called progress.
Right.
And some people are trying to kill the progress by always bringing us back to living on the plantation. This is where we don't go forward.
Well, yeah, that's like we're listening to, if you're a white Christian man, you got to be really worried because I'm like, hey, I've known him for, 12 years now.
Yeah.
And I'm, farthest person from, I I'm not. I've never been. Will never be. You know, be that kind of a person where I'm thinking of racial, and that's what bothers me. It's like, well, can we get past that and, you know, just see people for who they are? You know, like Martin Luther King said, the content of the character and not the color of the skin. You know, and that's where I like people. I like, you know, meeting people from all walks of life. I don't care where they're from. It's just fun, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He has a gift. I can vouch for that. I've seen it many, many times. He can start a conversation with anybody, find common ground, and then start building on that. And it's amazing to watch my brother speak to people and just like.
And it's a little bit different for you and I, though.
Yeah.
It's a personal attack on him nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
and you and I as well.
Yes, it is.
Because we're not supposed to think the way we think.
Right.
We're supposed to think that we're victims and, you know, we are entitled to certain things because of our ancestors' history.
Right.
You know, and, you know, we get called names. You get called sellouts, Uncle Tom, you know. The problem I have nowadays is people don't see their own evil.
Mm.
You know, they'll, like, for example, when I endorsed Mike Lee, you had people up there talking about, hey, John, how much money did Mike Lee pay you? Hey, John, you know, you're black, stuff like this. You know, basically, because I'm black, I'm supposed to think and do certain things. Well, that's not how you get progress. Because if I thought like everybody who thought the way they think, we will be stuck on the plantation forever.
Yeah.
Out of the box thinking is what keeps us out of the box.
Absolutely.
And these people do not understand this. You know, I'll get an email tonight or get something on Facebook post that's saying something like, you know, these Negroes are Uncle Toms or they're sellouts. But call me what you want. But don't call me on welfare. Don't call me broke. Don't call me believing in government entitlements. I'm a free man. I'm a free thinker. I get to do what I want to do. And I don't have to think about my history to be successful. Now, look, I don't know everything about my history, but I know enough of it as to where my character is conservative. My thinking is conservative. My group of people mostly are conservatives. Mm-hmm. So they've got to realize something. You're not going to change anything for your future if you're always living in that past. And we know what the particular past we're talking about. Okay. There's a lot of people making a lot of money on telling people they need to be slaves and sit on the plantation and think like you're on the plantation. So I want to change topics real quick.
Yes.
Donald Trump.
Okay.
He has now announced that he is going to be running for the office of the President of the United States again. What's your thoughts on that, Reese? Real talk.
Real talk. Well, I didn't vote for him the first time around.
Neither did I.
Just because, here he is, this billionaire that, had all, more in the Hollywood eye. And it wasn't necessarily that. It was just more the fact that, didn't really, I don't know, just like, I guess for me, one of the things too is because when he said "Make America Great Again," kind of reminded me of Obama when he said "Time for a Change, America." But I did watch his campaign the first time around, and I was like, well, he is saying more of what he's trying to do. Where for me, Obama would always make me nervous because, I watched all of them. Like, well, he's not really saying what he's going to try to do, Obama. So I didn't vote for him. And but like with Trump, I didn't vote for him the first time around, but I was pleasantly surprised. I was in business for myself at the time. He was working with me, and things just drastically changed in the way of, like fuel went down, everything. I'm like, okay. And I was impressed with him, how he, things that he campaigned on, like what he was trying to get done. Like, if he could have gotten it all done the first year, he would have probably done that. But, there's a lot of stuff. I don't know if it's 100% true or this or that, but just based off what he did, that was better for me as an American person. And the fact that, we weren't going to war, we weren't doing this. The second time around, absolutely, I voted for him. And this time around, clearly won't vote for our current administration. And, didn't vote for him last time. I voted for some constitutionalist guy. Oh, no, the last time I did vote for Trump, sorry. But the first time was some guy that I knew wouldn't win, but he was a constitutionalist. Just read
Ted Cruz?
No, it wasn't Ted Cruz. I can't remember his name, but I knew he wasn't going to win, but reading his stuff on his site, I was like, you know, I'll vote for this guy. So, but yeah, last time Trump all the way, but that's where I'll vote for Trump this time.
Mm-hmm. Your thoughts on it, Daryl?
Well, the three of us sitting at the table, I voted for candidate Trump in 2016. And the reason for my decision to vote for him in 2016 is I grew up in Arkansas, where Bill and Hillary Clinton had been the governor and first lady of the state of Arkansas for 16 years. Two consecutive terms of 8 years. I mean, 2 terms of 8 years. And I saw the misery. I saw all the misery in my home state that had been in Arkansas. In the lower 48 is one of the few states where you can find diamonds that naturally occur.
Right.
They come out of the ground. Community's called Murfreesboro, Arkansas. In the spring and fall, if it's raining, you got a good chance. People go there all the time from all over the country and all
I've
over the
seen
world.
that on documentaries about that.
Yeah, Murfreesboro.
Surface mining.
Yeah,
On top of the ground.
any diamonds that you find, you get to keep. They don't look like diamonds. They don't look polished, but you take them to the. It's a state park now, so you take them to the park ranger, and they'll evaluate it for you. And if it's a diamond, you get to keep it, regardless of the value of the diamond.
I know where I'm going on vacation.
They're there. They're there. But again, back to my home state. Having been under a Clinton administration and seeing the corruption, the out-and-out corruption of every part of my home state, the running of it was just so, it was so painful for me. I couldn't understand why people, when I was younger, I couldn't understand why people kept electing this man. Then I saw the real problem behind Bill Clinton was Hillary.
Right.
And I warned people when I moved to Utah many, many years ago. I said, this guy's going to position himself for a run for the presidency. Whatever you don't vote for him. They say, oh, he speaks so well. Ironic. How many of these people that have been elected that have been bad for this country always said, oh, they're so eloquent when they speak, right? They're so silvery tongued, kind of thing. But I saw in Hillary Clinton a real threat, actually, to this country. I saw her conduct first as the First Lady of Arkansas. Then I saw her conduct as the Secretary of State. And I could not, my eyes were so wide open, I could not see the danger that was there, despite what the mainstream media and celebrities would have me try to believe, right?
A lot of people were trying to oh, she'd be our first woman president, so vote for her.
That's
just
all.
Because of that, I'm like, well,
That was it.
I'm not a fool. I mean,
I said, same thing I said about Joe Biden. I said, what are his qualifications? What has he actually done? He didn't do anything before he ran for the presidency, really, even though he's been in Congress, over 40 years?
Wait a minute. He wrote the crime bill.
Well, this is true. And guess who the co-sponsor that was?
Robert Byrd?
Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton. Was it Bill Clinton?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. So,
I didn't know
didn't
that.
he also run for president way back when and get
oh yeah,
Yeah.
for plagiarism. Yeah, he had to withdraw
plagiarism,
dishonorably.
withdraw, yeah.
So, I voted for Donald Trump. Honestly, before he decided to run, I was not particularly a fan of him because all I saw was this mogul, this multi-billion-dollar, this mogul who could do anything and everything, right? But that was the image I got from watching the mainstream media, right? I didn't take time to really see who this person was. When I started looking and seeing the stories about, did you know he had a woman who was homeless, who was staying in one of his penthouses at the top of Trump Tower, I think
Trump
it was?
Tower. I know your story.
And what an amazing story. I mean, she had nothing, and they did an interview with her, and she was just in tears about how generous the man, Donald Trump, was. And when he found out that she was basically a squatter there, he didn't kick her out. He gave her top of the line everything, and that was never made known to the general public. So I started looking and said, okay. And I said, well, what America needs, and what I felt for years after watching career politicians run this country into the ground, we need a man who's got a business acumen, who knows how to run a business and is successful at building to sit in that Oval Office. And I remember right before he decided to run, there was a replay of an interview that Kurt Cobain, former leader of Nirvana. He said, and he said this, he said, He said, what we need is a businessman. We need someone like Donald Trump to run for president, to be president of the United States. And they laughed at him.
Even The Simpsons predicted Donald Trump.
Right,
Sure
right,
did.
right. And so what my gut told me was to trust what I was seeing, not from the media, but from what I was observing with my own eyes. And I happily voted for him. I got to admit, I was sweating like going, I'm hearing all these other people who said, oh, this is going to lead to racism. There's going to be race wars. It's going to be back in slavery, Jim Crow days. And I'm like going, I know none of that's real, but I saw so many people around me losing their minds. And I'm like going, this can't be that bad.
And they lost their mind because of the media.
Lost their straight minds, man.
They lost their minds because they were not thinking rationally. It was all emotion. Everything was emotionally driven. And that to me was so disturbing because I know when I'm overly emotional, I'm in my emotions, as they say now, the kids say now, I don't make the best decisions. And so I'm watching this man and I'm hearing what he says in his campaign speeches and I'm like, oh, wow. Then in the debate time, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is the man. This is the man. I voted for him again in 2020 for his reelection. I was not satisfied with the results. I will vote for him in 2024 again without hesitation.
Because here's the thing. For me, for example, I was a Ted Cruz guy. Ted Cruz was my guy. And I personally said to myself, you know what? We had Obama. Obama mantra was hope and change.
Yeah, time for a change, America.
Yeah, boy, did he ever change everything.
You keep your hope.
He changed
Keep my
everything
change.
to the worst.
Never really explained what those changes would be, and that's what made me nervous.
Well, the culture, the fabric of the culture.
Exactly.
Eloquent speech is what people said about Obama.
Yep.
He and when I listened to him, all I heard was gibberish. I'm like going, he ain't said anything worth anything. I mean, he's a snake
Like
oil
go
salesman,
round and round about nothing.
Let me be perfectly. Whenever he said, "Let me be perfectly clear," I knew he was about to lie.
Yeah, and here's the thing. When he was running for office, he believed that marriage was between a man and a woman. Somebody told him along the way, dude, you got to change that.
Yeah, because then he forced all the states into doing.
Yeah.
gay marriage.
The Defense of the Marriage Act, whatever you want to call it. And for me, I like Donald Trump. I had always said that, the United States was one of the biggest corporations
It is
on the planet.
It
Yeah,
is
free
definitely.
enterprise, man. Come on.
And Obama should have never been at the helm. No business experience, no economy, no political
No
experience.
common
Didn't he
sense.
vote
I'm sorry.
President on everything when he was in Senate.
Yeah, he was just he was a junior senator.
Yeah.
And before that he was a community organizer.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
People being black doesn't constitute you being qualified
Thank you. Qualified.
as the president of the United States, the biggest, most powerful country in the planet. And he proved that. Look, Bill Clinton was the governor in Arkansas for 2 or 3 terms.
4 terms. Yeah.
4 terms.
Yeah.
When he left and when they came to the White House, I remember an interview with Barbara Walters. When Hillary Clinton said, when we left Arkansas, we had absolutely nothing. They were broke.
Now they're
And when they left the White House, they had a net worth of $320 million.
How does one accrue that amount of
How does that
money?
even
8
happen when
years?
you're not even supposed to be enterprising as the president of the United States? Because remember, with Donald Trump,
Right.
He went
he had
down
he lost a lot of money,
He
and
was
he
a
had to
billionaire
have,
going in.
he had to
gave
give
it
his
up.
kids
Yeah.
control of Trump International.
Yeah.
How is Obama and the Clintons can make so much money? Because Obama came out worth about $95 million.
when he was
How
worth
does
nothing,
that
yeah.
happen? How does that happen?
For
How
being a
is-
community organizer.
Well, it's like
to be
Nancy
voting
Pelosi.
president.
Look at her. I mean, what's she
Oh,
worth?
cool.
A couple $100 million. And
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. She's worth. I looked it up a few months ago. Her
Yeah.
net worth was $120 million.
I mean,
On
Congresswoman for. I mean, come on.
Forever. Since the Flintstones.
Making
apparently.
100, and she has
That's
been in
the-
Congress.
Yeah.
Salary on the Congress is $173,000 a year.
Right.
Senators is $183,000 or $87,000 a year.
And president's how much again?
500.
Last time I checked, it was $440,000,
Yeah.
which Donald Trump donated his.
Every quarter.
Exactly.
His first
He never
term.
took.
Yep.
pay.
Never took a
He
pay.
never
And
took a
lost
payment.
money.
Yeah.
And so that's the idea of a true president. That's the idea of a true leader. He didn't go there to say, look, I'm going to make more money. Hell, he gave money away.
Yeah.
And he's running again, not because, look, he knows the people are on his ass right now.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
He
yeah.
knows he's got to.
Well, yeah, and it's going to affect his outcome as financially. I mean, he's doing it. I mean,
But people hate to see that he does it for the country and the people. This is what people don't understand about Donald Trump. Now, you got DeSantis.
I like DeSantis.
I like DeSantis, I will say that. But here's the problem I have with DeSantis and Trump. We know what Trump can do as president. And we know what DeSantis can do
He's governor.
as a governor.
Right.
But they're two different beasts.
Oh, absolutely.
Two different beasts.
Absolutely.
Trump doesn't play politics well with the other side. He doesn't try to get along. He's not trying to get along. He's trying to get policies changed and corrected. Now imagine this. Imagine if that man had his full backing of the Senate and the House. Can you imagine what would have happened in this country?
Oh, it would have been great, dude. I mean, he would have gotten a lot of stuff done. I was impressed what he got done with. Just all the-
Exactly.
I mean, it was pretty amazing what he got done just with all the.
In spite of
Exactly.
everything. Yeah, all the
Democrats and the Republicans who didn't want him to succeed.
Exactly.
all the
Now,
scandals
the
they were
truth.
trying to nail him on and
Oh, yeah.
stuff that were ended up not being true. And it's like, I was impressed with all the stuff he got done. I'm like, man, I mean, they got rid of NAFTA, Clinton's thing, which I always hated.
absolutely, yeah.
And
climate, we dropped out of the Paris Accord.
Accords, yeah.
You know,
Iran deal. I mean,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
NATO. I loved that speech. He told them, "Hey, guys, everybody's got to start paying their rears." And
Yeah.
then I loved how at the end he said, "I'm not going to ask how much this building costs because I'm pretty sure the United States paid for it." You can hear him all like murmuring and sighing. Yeah, there we go.
but he's a politician who's not really a politician first.
Right.
He's only a politician now because he's the president of the United States.
Right. Yeah.
That's what made him a politician.
Right.
And the Democrats knew in 2020, we can't have this man run again because he's showing the country how it's supposed to be done. But the
That's-
other side didn't want to listen. But the media,
Yeah.
who was part of the cabal,
Yes, absolutely.
couldn't have this man in power again because now they know Section 230 is in play right now. Section 230, I hope it hit because I said this to you before we went on the show. I didn't think about this in the beginning. I'm always thinking, and you weren't here, Reese, when we were talking about this. But I said, this is the best thing. This is actually the best scenario for us right now. We didn't have that red wave. I knew it wasn't coming. I've said it many times on the air and at events. We're not going to have a red wave. But what we're going to have, this is the best time for Republican voters. This is the best time for us because we don't have the Senate, but we have the House. Now we're about to find out what real Republicans
Can do.
who they are.
Well, yeah. I've heard a lot about listening to different radio shows and
We're about to
how
find
they-
out.
Yeah. 'Cause they'll either do something or they won't do.
Well, the
anything.
thing is, they're isolated now. They can't blame it on anybody else.
Right.
They are isolated. They have the House. They control the purse.
Yeah.
Right. That's true, yeah.
They control the money. They can
stop
rescind a lot
yeah.
of things. And if they do what they did remember when the Republicans had the House, the Senate, and the White House, and they said, well, we're going to repeal and replace Obamacare.
Didn't do that.
Didn't do a damn thing.
No.
So now
lot
let's
of
see
lip
what they're going to
service.
do. Let's see
Yeah.
what they're going to do.
Yeah.
You know,
Stop all this Yeah.
I don't like the fact that they chose McCarthy as Speaker of the House.
I heard they're still trying to consider somebody else.
Well, right now, Jim Jordan is in consideration,
Oh, please.
and so is Chip Roy
Please.
and Andy Biggs.
I'm not familiar with Andy Biggs.
So
Jordan.
Biggs is a good guy too.
Okay.
These guys,
Oh, yeah.
all of these
Texas.
guys, I think all of them are part of the Freedom Caucus,
Okay.
which is what we need to have in Utah.
Yes.
We need to have our own caucus in Utah because everybody likes to play along in Utah, and that's the problem.
No, yes.
That's the problem. Everybody wants to play along. We need let's stop taking and voting for candidates. Let's work on now creating a Freedom Caucus. A caucus where these guys are truly for the people.
Yeah.
They're not there to make a lot of money like a lot of these guys are making right now with the new prison or inland port. or
Yeah.
Amazon or Facebook.
Yeah.
We want true conservatives controlling. So, for example, they need a vote. The Freedom Caucus, the Utah Freedom Caucus, oh, no, we don't like that. We're not going to vote for it. You need our votes. That's how you stop a lot of the BS that's going on up on Capitol Hill in Utah and many other states. You know, somebody came to me about being chair of the Black Caucus, Republican Black Caucus. And I said, I have no power. There's no power. I can't change anything. It's just pandering in a white state. That's all you're doing. You have no power.
Yeah.
But if you can create a caucus within the legislature, that's where you have power. That's where you have power. People who represent the people and the strong conservatives. So that's my new angle. And I shouldn't say it out loud, but I don't care. I don't care.
Hey, who's listening, right?
True conservatives. If conservatives believe it, they'll make it happen.
Yeah.
And if you're a politician and you believe in that, you'll make it happen.
Right.
But so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Great questions, John.
My next question is, we're going to run a little long because we start late, so we're going to run a little longer. So we started a little late, so once you guys just heard me say, we're going to start running a little bit longer. It's Friday night. We don't drink yet. This shit keeps happening. You never know. This might not be coffee one day. So we better change this state real quick. No. So as a conservative men, I want to talk about men in the state of Utah.
Okay.
Is it just me, or does it see men no longer stand up for what's constitutionally based? For example, when I'm speaking and at events, I notice there's a lot of mama bears.
Yes.
There's a lot of mama bears.
Yeah. Yes, for sure.
Is there another constitution that I didn't see where men are supposed to stay home and the women are supposed to be doing the fighting? Did I miss something?
No, I don't know.
I didn't think so either. I mean, because I see a lot of women. I mean, I'm thinking some days I have to grab my kahunas to make sure I'm still a man nowadays, because every time I go to an event, that's mostly women.
The ones who are speaking up, right, and standing up.
And so my question is, why do you think men are not participating the way men are truly supposed to be participating, Daryl?
I think we bought into a lie. I think we as men have been, society has, there's been a what used to be accepted as societal norms, right?
So what's the norm then? Give me an example.
The example of the norm, the example of the norm is I am responsible for providing and protecting for my family, right? I am the primary provider.
Right.
And now the concept is that a woman can do everything a man can do, if not better. And that part is not so much about competition as much as is that there's I come from a military-based family, as I said earlier. Then if that's the case, then women should be on front line of combat situations, right? I don't believe that should be the case. But going on with the thought process that says that a woman can do everything a man can do,
Right.
and should be allowed to do everything a man can do, I think that's part of the fallacy that we men have in society have been taught over and over again. It's a form of brainwashing, I think, that's occurred. Now, I come from a family, I have 15, I'm the 12th of 15 children.
Good Lord.
11 of my siblings are female.
Wow.
Most of them have served in the military as well, right? They don't speak as if they feel like they should be able to do everything a man should do, right? There is an understanding of the value of the role of a man in society and a role of a woman in society, right? They're all high-achieving people, don't get me wrong. They're incredibly talented people. But they would never presume that I, as their brother, would not be responsible for protecting and providing for my wife and children you know, once I have them. You know, so back, what disturbs me about this question really is there's a perception that we bought into. Again, another falsehood that we got to sit back and be quiet and let the women do what the women need to do. It's their time to shine now. It's whatever the modern thought process is, I don't get. I mean, I don't get. Because as a man, I know what my responsibilities are. And I know I fall short daily in fulfilling those responsibilities, but I still strive to fulfill those responsibilities. So does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Reese?
Wouldn't it come back to like, my opinion, like maybe more the men because, you know, they're, I mean, like with the economy stuff going on, they're working more hours, you know, working harder to support their family, where some of the women being more the nurturer and like stuff for their children and stuff, maybe that's, I mean, kind of those lines, maybe that's where they're getting more involved. I mean, I know that was with my mom because she was always concerned about us growing up and like our well-being, and I know she was very involved in different political groups, like when it came to school, and like yeah, when it came to me growing up through school and like, you know, my education, my mom was very involved. Where nowadays with that kind of stuff, it seems like for years so many parents just like, here, have my kid, and you're the babysitter is how I felt, and you know, now they're getting, because of COVID and stuff, I feel like more parents are more involved, you know, like with their kids' education and stuff, because they saw what's going on. And that, where I think back to my mom, she was always very involved with us, and my dad too. But he was always working. I mean, not always working, but working and doing his thing. And that's where I kind of wonder sometimes if it's just the different roles and like, you know, with inflation going up. I don't know. I mean, maybe. You know?
But like, and I agree with you there but the older generation worked because that's what they did.
Yeah.
That's what they did. They
weren't afraid to
worked.
work.
And they didn't have the same kind of political era that chaos we live in nowadays. See, they didn't have to do what we men are supposed to be doing now because it's a whole new ball game. You know, back in the day, you know, you go out and you plow your corn, you raise your tobacco, you feed your hogs, your horses, your cows, what have you. That's what men did back in those days. Nowadays, they go to work. But today, there's so much of attack on our kids. That's when, as a man, you say, okay,
Yeah.
this is a different ball game. What I'm supposed to be doing is going to work and putting food over my table and a roof over my head for my family.
Right.
But the new era forces me now to be more of a protector, more so, and do all the things that I need to do. So if I got to work 12 hours a day and there's an event where I need to have my voice present as a man, as a father, I need to be there that 13th hour.
Yeah.
That 13 hours. Now, you're hoping it doesn't happen every single day. You have to do that. But there's times where, you know, you need to be places so as a man, your voice is heard. And strong, powerful voices are heard. Right. Not guys just going to sit there and be meek. No, you want to have a serious conversation to those who are attacking our freedoms, our property, our Constitution, and most importantly, our children, and not to mention our God.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This is where, you know, and like I said, you know, it's a different ball game nowadays. It's now, this is where it needs to be a man's world. And I say that not to be misogynist either. I say that as a protector of everything that we love. Because between God and man, there's nobody else that's going to protect what we love.
Right.
That's it. That's it. I mean, yeah, you got the mama bears. Mama bears going to do what they do. But when you look for strength, and a woman looks for her strength, she looks to her man and her God.
This is true.
She doesn't look to politics. She doesn't look at the school principal. She does look at God, and she looks at, because God has given man the agency to be who we're supposed to be, strong.
Yeah.
That's why we're called men, strong. We're supposed to protect that which is fragile in our society. And we as men have to stand up and do what we need to do because our children just can't protect themselves.
Their voice is not valued. And you think about it also, it could, part of this pattern that we're seeing right now with the mama bears being counted on so much, could it not also not be a point of exploitation by those who are pushing forth these agendas, because there's not a male voice or a male figure standing there that says, hey, you know what? No, this will not be permitted. Or the perception is that there's not a male voice there, right? What if then it makes it more so it remains in the emotional range only, rather than, okay, we got emotion and we have also this thought process, okay, I know what you're trying to do. I see what you're trying to do. And as the head of the household, I don't agree with that. You know, you can't teach my son or daughter these things that we don't agree with in our household. You know, if maybe that's part of the uprising we're seeing among parents now at school boards and things like that, where both the mother and father are there and they're speaking out and saying no, and that's what it's making some of these people backtrack some of these policies. Perhaps they've been pushing and free range, because if it's just the mama there, they can potentially run over the mama bear. Whereas if the papa bear is standing beside the mama bear, it's a lot more intimidating for them to try to push this stuff that they say, oh, you have no voice really. No, we together, we are the deciding factors in what goes on in our household. Not the school board, not the principal, not any of these people who don't have really a say in the rearing of our child or children. Once they reach a certain age, then those people are like, hey, it's not our problem, it's society's problem, you know? Whereas as a parent, I would still be responsible for what my child does and says. Because they look at me, well, you didn't raise your child right or whatever. You should have taught them better, you know, kind of.
Your child started committing crimes, all of a sudden they're going to
guess who they come back on, right? Yeah. The media is going to be right at my door.
It's like, you're not responsible because we know best. And
Right. The media's going to be at my door asking me, how did you fail your child, you know? And when in fact, it was the indoctrination from the modern public education system, right, that has that person thinking that, hey, you know, don't listen to mom or dad. They're old-fashioned. Their views are old-fashioned. They don't really understand the modern world, you know? And I think that's with deliberate intent, to undermine.
Well, I think we're all, I mean, we're where we're at because we have been a lot of people have been pretty apathetic and you know, haven't taken, because I hear it all the time, you know, what's the point of me voting or doing this because I don't have a voice? I'm like, well, that's the whole point. Is people feel that way and they don't do it. Or where we're at because nobody's taken action. You know, nobody's held their representatives accountable or their school district accountable for, you know, and that they're teaching what they're teaching because we've just let it, you know,
abdicated our responsibilities, right?
To somebody. You know, I've often said a home without a man is a home with a weakness. And people need to understand that. You could be the strongest woman in your head as you want, but physically, you're not that person. This is why men are in the position with a partner, because a man is supposed to protect that woman for the weaknesses that she does have. He's supposed to be her strength. And when we look at it as if nowadays a woman can do anything a man can do, that's not true. Let's be honest. And it's not being misogynist. I mean, it's facts. It's just like there's two genders.
Right.
It's only two genders. I don't care what you tell yourself in your head. It's not going to make that third gender. A woman is now, in most cases, you can tell yourself as a woman, I'm just as strong as a man. You may be spiritually strong as a man. You may be emotionally strong as a man. But in most cases, you're not physically strong as a man.
Yes.
And this is when we say a man's, I wouldn't say his job. No, it is his job. It's his duties to protect his family. Yeah. He is the one who makes up the strength that the woman doesn't have. She can have her own emotions. You know, you can guys see eye to eye on 99% of the thing. But when John Doe kicks in that door, it's not the woman that should be the first one in line. It's the man.
Absolutely.
That's what it means about protecting your family. And some people, and we've lost that today.
We have.
We've lost that. You know, people call me an alpha. Because I say it, I don't care, because it's the damn truth. Yeah. It's the damn truth. You could tell yourself, you could be LGBTQ, ABC, whatever. You could be Mormon, you could be Muslim. In every set of a human being, the man is going to be the stronger between the two gender. Show me a third gender. Show me a third gender. Somebody show me a third gender that's stronger than the males, because it doesn't exist. This is why God gave men the power that he has given us. This is why we were built this way. We're soldiers. Then the women can be soldiers too.
Yeah.
They really can, because they can shoot just as good as a man.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, they
Yeah.
can shoot. I know females that shoot better than I do. But that still doesn't make you stronger than a man.
Right.
Yeah.
That still doesn't make you stronger than a man. And this isn't an attack on women. This is celebrating women, because nowadays, with this transgender shit, excuse my French, it's my show.
Yeah.
I say it. This transgender shit, you have devalued women.
Oh yeah.
And I'm so sick of it.
The real war on women is being waged
and
right before
women
our eyes.
devalue themselves. You got people talking about we women are equal to men, but yet you don't push back and say, wait a minute, there's only one gender when it comes to women.
Yes.
You do not devalue us. We are it
Yep.
in our species. We are it.
Yeah.
And I wish women do a better job of standing up for themselves as well.
Yeah, it's worth all this transgender stuff. It makes me wonder where's women's lib, because
Right.
it's totally destroying all that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they can't speak up, Reese, because they'll get canceled for speaking up against the transgender.
Yeah, exactly.
I say to people, you can't cancel me. I'm my own free will. I carry my own agency.
Yeah.
I don't play in that cancel game.
Yeah.
You only can get canceled if you believe in that shit.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You can only get
Yep.
canceled
Yep.
if you believe
Yep.
in that
Yep.
crap.
Yep.
Then you have taken away your own power and given it to them because you believe, hey, I need to shut the hell up because I might get canceled.
And what was that? What was that old adage we heard as kids growing up? Sticks and stones can break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Somebody forgot about the sticks and stones, right?
Right?
Now name calling is the all powerful tool to ruin someone, to demean them. I mean, it's so mind boggling to me that someone who, and again, I also did an interview for Senator Mike Lee's reelection.
Right.
And some of the comments I saw, people was like, that's like when someone said, "What right do you have?" Well, I'm, first of all, I was born in this country. I'm native born American, and
That's the best privilege you could ever ask for.
Right there.
Being born under this flag.
exactly. And
Other countries know this. Why can't we then acknowledge it?
to me, it's like sometimes it seems so common sense that I scratch my head and I can't figure it out why other
every
people,
day.
why we're not seeing it for what it is. Why we are choosing to allow ourselves to be led down this path where our liberties, and I don't say rights, I'm focused more on liberties, are being taken away from us. And it's kind of like the axe in the forest of trees, right? And there's an election being had. I heard this analogy. I can't recall where it was, but all the trees keep electing the axe because it has a wooden handle. And it makes all the trees think it's one of them because it has a wooden handle. But the axe is there to chop down the trees.
That's a good analogy. I really like that one.
And I'm like, why can't the trees see it? Why can't we, the trees, see that the axe is there to chop us down? Take us out.
Before we go, I want to say the past 2 weeks half of America have shown us how ignorant they really are to their own pain and suffering.
Yeah.
They have showed us how ignorant they are to their own pain and suffering. These are the same people get pissed off because they got to pay $5 for a gallon of gas, but for some reason in their world, they never made the connection. It has something to do with those in power.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. I mean, I scratch my head on that one every day. I'm like, and then there are people I've heard people wondering why stuff in grocery stores are going up.
Right.
What's the okay? We shut down oil production. I mean,
Well, there's nothing on the shelves, right?
Cost of freight goes up. They pass it along to the consumer. I mean,
Exactly.
it's simple, dude. I mean, it's like I work in the freight industry, and when rates go up. I mean, fuel goes up, the rates go up. I mean, last winter they were just the highest I've ever seen them in 17 years, and they were incredible. I mean, but it was because of the fuel, and I mean, I knew what was the effect it was going to have on us because they're passing along to consumers when their trucking companies are hauling it. But But yeah, I don't know. It just seems so simple, but there's so many people that's like, man, I don't know.
It's all about the D.
Yeah.
It's all about being dimmer, trying to keep. This is the dumbest. Look, I've always said a lot of people in our country are stupid. They proved it this time. And I will say this because simply this. It's all about keeping the Democrats in power who actually were the one putting the cork up your ass that made you feel uncomfortable. Yeah. But yet you voted for them again, like the Axe.
Yeah.
They voted for these same people again. But luckily this time, enough of us are pissed off. Barely enough of us were pissed off to get us the House.
Well, it's like, the Senate, John Fetterman. I mean, I watched
Oh
that
my
race.
God.
I'm like,
Oh my God.
How
my God.
are the people of Pennsylvania for voting that man in?
Please pinch me.
No,
John.
I might knock you out because I'm so pissed right now.
That guy, I mean, just watching him, that's how I felt with Joe Biden when he was running for president. How he almost lost, and all of a sudden, next they backed him, and I'm like, just watch all his campaigning.
Katie
The
Hobbs,
guy's an idiot.
Katie Hobbs, the lieutenant governor who ran for the gubernatorial election in Arizona.
Oh yeah. I read about her. I don't.
I'm like, can people wake up and see that this person is saying they want open borders? They want to give everything to make it possible for these people to continue coming illegally into our country via the U.S. southern border, which we no longer have a border, gentlemen. We no longer have a southern border.
We don't have a border.
We don't.
No.
We no longer have a southern border, and it is.
Well, that's where Carrie Lake would have been.
Carrie Lake
great.
would have been dynamite. She would have been absolutely dynamite as the governor. But apparently no one questioned, again, John, like we were discussing before we came on air, right? Mm-hmm. Arizona, Nevada, and Georgia.
Same three states?
Same three states, right? Can someone
aren't
say...
they still waiting on Georgia, or do they...
We got a month before we find out what goes on in Georgia. But that won't change anything. It'll still be a tie because Kamala Harris will still vote Democrat. Yeah, oh my God, yeah.
It's so asinine to watch this process self-replicate. It just keeps going and going and going. It's like going, can someone wake up and...
That's the frustrating part. It's like, come on, America, when are you going to wake up? I mean, you're sick of all this, and it wasn't Trump, it's him.
It's him and his policies.
Or, they'll say something like, I hear that stupid ass press secretary.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
Please
Lord.
don't get me started.
We're still trying to clean up the mess from the past.
What's that mess?
The mess was the
$2 a gallon.
And they do that and they push it out on Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And then they'll say, now, if Donald Trump does something positive, that's just a carryover from the Obama era.
Yeah, exactly. Of course.
Of course. It's just time to kick in place.
Oh, it was Obama.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I want to scream.
It's so, and the people just don't get it when it comes to our freaking country. And these people just drive me freaking nuts because you cut your nose off despite your face, and then come January 3rd, when the new Senate or the new House is in, then they're going to start blaming all of that on the Republicans.
Because they couldn't fix all the problems.
All it's going to be blamed on the Republicans.
Exactly.
Stay tuned and watch, because that's what they're going to do.
Yes,
absolutely.
Because they got the White House coming up.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't even doubt if it was designed for the Republicans to take
the House.
So they can blame everything on the Republicans for the next 2 years.
The do nothing or the blocking or the...
and then use that as a power for somebody like Gavin Newsom, who's probably going to run for president. I'm pretty sure he's going to run. I've heard he's going to run.
You don't think Hillary's going to try to...
I've heard she's talking about it.
I honestly believe...
Just give it up. Her,
No.
Beto O'Rourke.
Let me tell you. The power trip that woman is on is unbelievable.
I don't think it's a power trip, dude. I think it's survival.
Oh, you think it's survival?
Because here's the thing. If we had gotten the Senate and gotten the House as well,
right,
they can put pressure on the DOJ, the CIA, Secret Service, and all the law enforcement branches in the government, NSA, and find out what's really going on. We know who the dirtbags are. These people are doing it for survival.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that.
It's all about survival. Nancy Pelosi's survivor. Chuck Schumer, it's all about survival.
Right.
Fauci, it's all all survival.
Because they've done some, things that can get them, seriously.
Exactly.
Well, okay, I heard that, like, with Trump's, like, when they, I think it was Glenn Beck talking about it, where they, went into his house in Mar-a-Lago.
Mar-a-Lago, yeah.
Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, yeah.
He was talking about, did he have like some kind of lawsuit he was trying to do against Hillary Clinton or something like that? Because he was talking about a timeline. And I'm trying to remember, but
Yeah, I remember hearing something to that
He
effect
was
as
talking
well.
about survival with her as well.
Yeah.
Did you see when Dave Chappelle was talking about, he was on Saturday Night Live?
Saturday Night Live. I didn't see it, but it was killer.
He was, he was saying some stuff about Kanye. Kanye shouldn't have said this and that, and people were saying, "Oh, that was so funny. Oh, it was so fun." I didn't think it was funny because I don't just listen to parts that makes me laugh. It's the other part that he said I didn't like. When he said that, they were coming at Donald Trump and said that he was working with the Russians and kind of found out that was true. That's a lie.
Yeah.
That was not found out. They found out he hadn't. He was not working with the Russian. It was a Clinton that was working with the Russian. That's what came out.
Well, that's the problem is people are going to see that and, oh, yeah, that's true.
Exactly. People do not listen to the whole skit.
Do you not remember on the and this is going back to 2016 presidential election when it was clear that then candidate and then President-elect Donald Trump had won Florida, right? That gave him the decisive margin for victory. Hillary Clinton is quoted as saying,
She won.
No.
Oh, you mean the last one?
That if they have to stop him because if he comes into office, they're all going to hang. Hanging is the penalty for treason via our Constitution. So why would she? And she could say our gooses are cooked, we're dead ducks, any number of expressions, right, that would be recognized. Why on earth, of all the expressions would she choose that we're all going to hang? We're all going to hang.
While the dirtbags are going to hang, the ones that are evil and corrupt, because if I was to run to the White House, I'd tell you this: if I were ran president of the United States, my first job would be the country, and then I'm getting rid of everybody. I'm telling my DOJ, the FBI, I want you to go back within the statutory limitations, and you find out what these people done, and then they will hang legally.
Yeah.
They will hang legally. Joe Biden, Jim Biden, his wife, his son, Nancy Pelosi, Fauci, you would hang.
Bill Gates.
You may people out there listening. Good thing I'm not on my my Podbean podcast, because there's a lot of people listening to me on there. Because I would tell you, I would hang you. I will hang you. Because the problem is in our country, we're afraid to make examples of dirtbags.
That's the key, John. And it was kind of a rhetorical question on my behalf, but that is
politician thing. They're always, once they get elected, they're always trying to run and just be the popular.
Oh yeah.
They're not doing anything
but
for the people.
there are no consequences for their actions.
Exactly.
As a child growing up, I was always taught there were consequences for my actions. If I'm playing in the kitchen and I touch a hot stove and my mom's told me not to touch a hot stove, guess what's going to happen to me? I'm going to get burned. Right?
And then my mom's going to whoop my ass.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That happened to me too. So
That's the thing is, every choice produces a consequence.
Exactly.
But
that's what we need to.
But in bizarro world that we're living in now, or being perpetuated, there are no consequences.
There isn't.
Choices have consequences and all this other crazy stuff. No,
Yeah, there are no consequences for those who are committing these crimes against, I'm going to say humanity, and definitely against the republic, our constitutional republic. Here's the thing: did anyone not notice on the eve of the election, and actually the night before the election as well, the primary, that even on Fox News, they had the word democracy, save our democracy, or something like that.
That's the stupidest thing I've seen people do.
we're not a democracy.
No, we're not.
We're
Democratic Republic.
Constitutional Republic, but there is intention. I mean,
the Constitution even states, very specifically that the federal government is to maintain a form of Republican government.
Yep. Yes. But there is intention because there's subliminal messages that are submitted. If you see the word democracy long enough on these trusted sources of information, you're going to start believing that the United States is a democracy, not a constitutional republic. And you hear it repeated time and time again from the mouth of elected officials, democracy. I'm like going, burn the damn democracy. I don't care about it because it's not ours.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a constitutional republic.
It's just like people saying that, abortion is a right. It is not a right, you dumbasses. It's not a right.
No.
Now, what? In your world, it might be a right, but in the Constitution, It's not delegated in the Constitution that abortions is a right. That's the reason why the Supreme Court got rid of it. And the judges, the bench in 1973, were just making laws when they shouldn't have been doing that. So this is why it was rescinded. Unfortunately, it took too damn long. It took as long as it did, what, 50 years to get rid of it? But, you know, we did.
How many lives? I mean, in it, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, right? Those are key parts of what we're supposed to be entitled to as citizens of this constitutional republic. And life was deprived of the innocent in the womb. Liberty was deprived of the innocent in the womb, and infants in the womb, and the pursuit of happiness. I mean, they went against those tenets that are essential to this nation being exceptional in all the world. You know.
You know, I don't say that we are scholars to history, but we are scholars to our own lives.
Right.
We all know what's gone on, how our lives have been, how we lived our lives, and we know what we've learned from history.
Oh, yeah.
See, and there's a lot of people who don't know much about history, have not learned history, and choose to believe somebody else's history. I often hear this phrase, "Who, the white man's history?" Then tell me your history. Tell me your history then. Tell me your history, and then you get nothing from them. Tell me your history. Don't tell me the history of Utah. Tell me the history since the inception of this country. The founders settled this country. Tell me that history. They don't tell you that. It's always either a white version or a black version or a slave version. I want to know the version of history. And so we're not gonna get anywhere anytime soon because people are so one-sided in their thinking, and they think we as conservatives
Are evil.
or conspiracy theorists. But I tell you this, a lot of things we said in 2020 happened in 2022.
Chickens come home to roost, as they say.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not a psychic or anything, but I can read the writing on the wall, and a lot of it came true.
Yes.
A lot of it came true.
It wasn't hard to see.
It's not hard to see.
If you open your eyes, right?
Yeah. If you don't drink that Kool-Aid, you can see what's going on.
Yeah, seriously, right?
Just look at the progression, how this country has gone. Look, I'm going to narrow it down for a few people, then we're going to get off this damn podcast. There's a 2016 to 2020, most Americans had a great 4 years.
Yes.
Most Americans had a fantastic 4 year, even more so than previous 2016.
Yes.
2020, some dirtbag takes over. In the first day he takes office in 2020, January 20th, he did almost 35 executive orders within the first.
The Keystone Pipeline.
Yep.
Yeah, right there.
Cancel 9,000 leases in the United States. And guess what that triggered, people? Fuel to go up. January 2020 gasoline was $22.25 a gallon.
Didn't take a rocket science.
And then it went through the damn roof. Just start with that.
Well, isn't it funny? Because, like, in the last month, he's come out and when I took office, fuel was high over $5 a gallon. Now it's below. I'm like, dude, you have to be nuts to believe that, you know.
But people are nuts. They do
know.
believe that, Reese. That's the crazy
I
part.
know, that's
There
the
are
problem.
people that believe that crap.
Back to drinking the Kool-Aid, right? The fear Kool-Aid, right?
Yeah.
And all the other forms of Kool-Aid. I used to love grape Kool-Aid personally, you know, as a kid. And I don't know, it's not so much cherry, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Grape-Aid. Grape-Aid, yeah. but it's amazing to me how we keep, as the trees, keep voting for the axe. That's clearly sharpened to a fine point where it just can take out the trees in one fell swoop, you know?
Yeah.
I just don't get it. Maybe it's because I grew up in the country, you know, simple setting, you know. I'm overly simplistic in my thought process, you know. But I see something that is truly a threat, not to the democracy, but to our constitutional republic, and that's something I can't abide. It really, something is stirred up in me so intensely that it disturbs me that. Why can't our fellow Americans detect what's going on right now?
I can tell you Precisely why. Because those who vote against what we believe as conservatives believe that when they vote, the way they vote, it's going to hurt just the conservatives. They're so narrow-minded, they don't realize we live under the same umbrella. When you pay gas, they think that the Republicans are going to pay more gas. No, you dumbasses. You're going to pay the same price.
Exactly.
There's no such thing as blue bread and red bread.
Well, yeah, look
It's
at
just bread.
California, man. You're paying out the nose for gas.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter who you are.
And people don't use their brain and realize this. You know, when they create a law, it affects all of us. There's no such thing as a red law
Just passed.
and a blue law.
Yeah.
They don't think about this stuff. They don't think about the people that are in power, and they truly don't ever think about this. All crooks aren't in prison. And there's a reason why we have prisons, and politicians who are corrupt and dirtbags go to prison just like anybody else when they're caught by the right people.
Yes.
That's the key.
When they're caught by the right people.
Exactly.
That's when they go to jail. But until then, they'll keep doing what they're doing because there's no consequences.
There's no consequences.
I mean, look, when you all are cheating, look, when the fox had the keys to the hen house, the fox is going to keep doing what he's doing.
Preach, brother. Preach.
He's going to keep doing what he's doing.
Ain't nobody, the hound is not there. If the hound
Exactly right.
I watched enough Looney Tunes to know the truth here about it. That life really works,
If
people.
the fox got the key to the hen house, there's not a damn person going to bother the fox.
Not at all. Not at all.
And so this is where we are in our country. And, you know, the next 2 years are going to be telling for the Republican Party.
Absolutely.
It's going to be telling for conservatives.
Cross your finger.
You would hope, really would hope that, you know, the Republicans in the House do what they're supposed to do. Enough where it would fear the people in the Senate, those Democrats, and say, listen, those damn Republicans are not messing around in the House because Chuck Schumer just got subpoenaed to the hearings.
Yeah.
So they have subpoena power.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So start subpoenaing some of them Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
Put
Yeah.
heat on them.
Yeah.
And the Republicans, put heat on them.
Oh, yeah,
If they're
absolutely.
smart, they would. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I'd love to see Mitt Romney get held. I mean, because fortunately I
Please
voted
get him
for
in.
him.
Please get him in
I didn't
front of
vote. I mean, yeah.
Wait a minute. What you said? What'd you say? You voted for
Actually, I
him.
did. And I was immediately disappointed.
Well,
So-
guys, listen. I got to end this night. It's been a
Yes.
fantastic night. I had a great time.
Thanks, John.
You
It's been
know,
wonderful.
I like open conversations, and yes, I swear every once in a while because I get pissed and heated, and I just says, and they can't censor me anyway. It's not Facebook, so it's not Facebook. But speaking of Facebook, I want to see what 230 does. Section 230. The Republicans better do their damn job.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
better do their damn jobs. And in our state, don't think you're going to get away with everything either. Do not think you will get away with everything because you know what? There's enough of us that are getting confidence in our state. We're getting the confidence to fight back and
Yes.
call you out.
Yeah.
Don't ever let me run. I promise you. Life will be different in Utah. I promise that's on my children because I'm so sick of corrupt cops. I have no problem with the corrupt criminal, a criminal on the street.
Yeah.
I have no problem with him because I have no respect for him
Right.
as a criminal.
Right.
But when you're a politician, we send you there because we respect you, and then you straight screw us.
Yeah. That's a big problem.
You've got a price to pay. And the thing is, we got to figure out how to make them pay the price because they figure we are the legislators.
They view themselves as the leaders, not as the representatives.
Exactly.
They view themselves as leaders when they're public servants.
Yeah.
They
They're
have
representatives
an
of us.
over. What's the term? They have an over. They see themselves too highly. They take themselves too highly.
Elitist.
Elitist, yeah. But they work for us. They work for us. I mean, city street sweeper back in the 20s and 30s. You know, that guy or woman worked hard, right? And they were respected for what they did. We have people who are sitting in these. I don't call them positions, seats of power. I call them seats of influence because they can be bought and sold. And but they have an overinflated sense of self, and with that, they think themselves leaders, which they're not. They're public servants. They're public servants. They serve we the people.
Constituents, yeah.
Yeah, they're constituents, and so we
That's-
gotta be more
I want to
informed
see more of that.
and more engaged in calling them out on their BS.
Reese, any final thoughts? Do you want to share with the people?
Take an active role in their government, you know. learn their government, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
those are I mean, that's what frustrates me is just that so many people feel helpless, but they're really not. It just,
Exactly.
It's called being involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, even by small means, it's like the story about what's her name, Martha O'Hare, the one that got out of schools.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she was one woman way back when. I mean, one woman, she did it, and so that's where it goes to show one person can make a difference, and stop feeling. People need to stop feeling so helpless and just start being active in any little bit they can.
And for me, in closing, I will say, we have to realize that we are the most powerful organization in our country. That's we the people.
Yeah.
There is no other organization more power than we the people. But we the people need to realize we need to act like we the people, not as individuals.
It's like the shareholders, the board of directors. We're the board of directors, and we have
And exactly, and we can fire you. And this is the reason why the founders,
Fire. Sorry.
and that's why the founders made Congress 2 years.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't stay in power and try to cause a trend in the country that would make the people subject to their rule. So we always can participate in our laws in our country, but the problem is we don't all participate.
Yes, we got career politicians that have been there for 40 plus years.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to say something when it comes to the next election. When a politician tells you he wants to get rid of term limits, he's a freaking liar.
Yeah.
He's a freaking liar. They've been saying that for 50 years now. And nobody gets out first term, second term.
Nope.
Jason Chaffetz, I think he did 3 terms, got out. Shit, he went and made a bunch of money. He worked for CNN. He wrote a book. Now he's running. I hear he's coming back running for the Senate seat, Romney's Senate seat.
Oh, he
That's
is?
what I heard.
Oh,
That's
wow.
what I've heard. And
That's what I heard. So, that's not a conspiracy theory. That means that's just what I heard.
I've heard that as well.
And I heard just the other day Glenn Beck talking in an interview with Mike Lee, suggesting that Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes.
I'd vote for him.
Yeah, I would.
I would vote for Sean too.
Definitely
I like
vote for Sean.
I mean,
I know
Sean's
Sean.
I know Sean too. And there's a lot of people that don't like Sean. Damn, we're supposed to be ending this show 5 minutes ago. Sorry,
So my bad.
Yeah, but that's what happens when you have a good conversation. But I heard he's running too. But there's a lot of people don't like Sean. I would say I would endorse Sean. I like Sean. I can call Sean, talk to Sean, and when we see events, we sit and talk like homeboys. I like Sean Reyes. I really do. And I also like Melissa Holyoaks. I hope she becomes Attorney General if Sean decides to run. She's another class act. I like those people. But once again, I'm going to get the hell off this pod. I'm going to say, guys, I appreciate you being here again. We're closing our week. Come look me up on the modernconservativepodcast.com. Also, remember, December 10th, we are having an event at the Woods Cross High School. This community event is for children. There will be no politics. And you will have influencers there. We will have legislators there, state and federal, at this event. I'm actually going to do a karaoke song because I lost a bet.
Well, you should get him. He's good.
He's already been drafted.
Oh, all right.
He's already been drafted. So we will be doing a song together or apart, but come enjoy. It's about fun and helping out families and children. So once again, I appreciate you guys being here. For myself, Reese, Daryl, thank you for joining us on the Modern Conservative Podcast. Join us on the modernconservativepodcast.com and listen to all the outtakes and all the other podcasts. You guys have a great weekend. Take care. Love you all. Good night, America.
Night.
Good night.